On our previous video, we were introduced to the Pythagorean theorem where we had to highlight how to determine C given A and B, but in this video, we are going to be doing it the other way. Now you're given C and you're asked to find what B is given A, or you're given C but you're asked to find what the value of A is given B. That is what we're going to do in this particular video. So let's set the groundwork for how to approach those two scenarios here. First scenario is, if you don't know what the A value is, how are you going to figure this out? All we have to do is, since we have our positive B squared to be at this side, we have to move it over to the other side. That means it becomes a negative value on the other side of the equal sign. So therefore our A squared is going to stay right there, and this here is equal to, we have our C squared, and we're going to have our negative B squared to be there. Therefore, in this case here, when we do the square root of both sides, we have our A now to be equal to the square root of our C squared minus our B squared. And so this here is a case where we need to find the value for A given as C and B. Now likewise on the other side here, if you're given the C and the A but you're asked to find what the value of B is the same thing that we'll do here, but in this case for A, we know that we have positive A squared here. We have to move it to the other side of the equal sign, which means that it becomes negative A squared. Therefore we have our B squared is equal to, we have our C squared what minus our A squared. Therefore, to remove our squared from our B, we have to do the square root of both sides, which means that we have our square root of C squared minus our A squared. And so likely they are going to be, in this case, one or the other, but remember that it's going to be subtracting the square of the smaller side that is given from the longest side of the square of the particular right angle triangle. So let's look at an example where you're given the values for, in this case we have our A to be equal to 12 and we have our C to be equal to 13, and we're asked to find what the value of B is. And so right here, take note that this here is not up to scale, so let's keep that in mind. So by using this particular equations, we notice that the one that we are going to use is not this one here, because this one here we are asked to find the value for A but we are given A, but instead we're going to use this one here where we are given the value for C here to be 13 and A right here to be 12, but we don't know what B is. So therefore, to find the value for B, we're going to do the square root of our what, our C, which is equal to what, 13. We'll do 13 squared minus, we have our A squared, in this case to be 12 squared. We know that 13 squared is equal to 169 minus, we have our 12 squared to be 144, which gives us our value here to be inside to be 25, and therefore the square root of 25 gives us our value for B to be equal to what, in this case 5. So this here is a way for we to figure out what the other side is given the longest side and the other smaller side of a right angle triangle. Now on the other hand, if you're not given A but you're given B to be equal to what, 5, how are we going to be able to figure out what A is given C and B? In this case here, we're going to be using this formula here where to find what A is, we're going to do the square root of C squared minus B squared. Therefore our A is going to be equal to the square root of what our C is, what, 13. We're going to do the square of that minus, we have our B to be equal to 5. We put that in this case with the squared, and therefore this here for A is equal to what, we have our square of 13 to be equal to 169 minus, we have our 5 squared to be equal to 25. Therefore this here is going to be equal to the square root of 144, and the positive value of A is going to be equal to 12. So therefore in here a value is equal to 12, and this here is one of the special right angle triangles that we know based on the values alongside the one that we did on our previous video. So I hope we found this really informative in terms of figuring out what the smaller side is given the longest side and the other smaller side on a right angle triangle using the Pythagorean theorem. See you all on the next one. Stay smart as always and believe in yourselves.